going to cover Henry VIII. In today's lesson, we're going to cover who Henry VIII was, and we're also going to cover the most famous story of Henry VIII and his 6 wives. So today, we're going to discuss Henry VIII. Henry VIII was King of England for 38 years. He was most known for his cruel attitude, his 6 wives. He also increased the authority of the royal government, and he founded the Anglican Church in order to be able to divorce multiple wives. So, this moves us to Henry VIII and his 6 wives. One of the most interesting stories of the Middle Ages is Henry VIII and his 6 wives. He wasn't happy with just one. He wanted multiple wives. And the reason he wanted multiple wives is so basically after he passed, he could have a son that took his place on the throne. So he started with Catherine of Aragon. Catherine of Aragon was born in 1485 and she died around 1536. Catherine of Aragon and Henry VIII divorced. But before they divorced, they had a daughter. Her name was Mary I. Mary I may not mean much to you, but who Mary I ends up being is Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary, the famous story when you go in the bathroom, you turn off the lights and you do all that stuff that y'all do. Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, all that. Yeah, that folk tale. Bloody Mary's name, Mary I got Bloody Mary because when the Protestant Reformation was happening, which you'll learn about in 7th grade, Mary I kills a lot of members of the church, of the Protestant religion. And that's the reason she gets her true name, Mary, or Bloody Mary. So, Catherine of Aragon and Henry VIII divorced. They have a daughter named Mary I, Bloody Mary. He then goes on to marry Anne Boleyn. Anne Boleyn was born around 1500, died around 1536. The born part, they're not quite sure when exactly. They have narrowed it down to about 1500. Anne Boleyn was beheaded. This is the first time we're going to talk about beheaded. They have a system in the Middle Ages and in that part of Europe at the time where if you are condemned to be beheaded, you are carried to something called a guillotine. What a guillotine is basically this wooden plank, and it's a large metal slicer, cutter, knife thing. And basically there's a person that pulls it down, chops, and the head rolls into the bucket. There's also another way where a person can stand there and chop the head off, whatever. That's beheaded. Anyways. Anne Boleyn was beheaded. She has a large temper. She is not easy to make friends with. Her daughter, before she gets beheaded by Henry VIII, her daughter is Elizabeth I. Elizabeth I's name gets known for an era, or an age. It's called the Elizabethan age, or Elizabethan era. You'll talk more about that in 7th grade as well. So, Mary I and Elizabeth go down in history as pretty famous people as well. Even though the wives of Henry VIII didn't work out. Let's move on to the 3rd wife, Jane Seymour. Jane Seymour was 1509 to 1537. She ends up just dying. She has a son, Edward I, who became King of England. So, Jane Seymour, Edward I becomes the heir to Henry VIII's throne. Let's move on to Anne of Cleves. Anne of Cleves, 1515 to 1540. Henry VIII and Anne of Cleves ends up divorcing. She is known as the Ugly Wife. Yes, that's her nickname, the Ugly Wife. That's a heck of a nickname. She has 0 children. Well, I mean, the Ugly Wife, she's divorced. She just don't have anything going right for her. Catherine Howard. Catherine Howard is the 5th wife of Henry VIII, 1521 to 1540. Like her cousin, Anne Boleyn. Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard are cousins. She is beheaded like Anne Boleyn. So the family tree keeps it going. She has no children. So 2 and 5 are cousins. Well, they could be killed the same way as well. Catherine Parr. Catherine Parr is born 1512 to 1543. Henry dies. And Catherine Parr is basically Henry's nurse. She basically stays by his bedside up until the end. So, this is a simple way of remembering it. Divorced, beheaded, and died. Divorced, beheaded, died, or survived. You can survived or died. Divorced, beheaded, and died. Divorced, beheaded, survived, or died. Now, you're going to hear a bit of a parody, a bit of a song coming up about Henry VIII that gives a good representation of Henry VIII and his 6 wives. Henry VIII was known for his cruel attitude, his 6 wives, his increased authority of the royal government, and he founded the Anglican Church so he could divorce multiple times. His first wife, Catherine of Aragon, he divorced her. Bloody Mary was Catherine of Aragon's daughter. Anne Boleyn, beheaded, had a huge temper. Daughter, Elizabeth I, Elizabethan age. Jane Seymour died. Son, Edward I, heir to the throne. Anne of Cleves, divorced, the ugly wife, has no children. Catherine Howard, beheaded, no children. Catherine Parr, Henry VIII ends up dying. Henry VIII's nurse, Catherine Parr, survives up until her death. This is one of the most famous stories of the Middle Ages, is Henry VIII and his 6 wives and what happened to all 6 of them. And this ends Henry VIII's lesson for today.